You know, we've been talking over the last couple of weeks about recession and all of the negative things that come along with that. And on Monday, we talked about the latest bill that was passed and how it's going to increase a lot of taxes. And it's really easy to get discouraged and to beat yourself down during these periods of time. It's a lot easier to stay in a negative space than it is to stay in a positive space. And so I just wanted to give you a couple of thoughts on how to stay positive during a recession, because I don't it's easy to say, well, just be upbeat, recognize all the positive things that are happening in the world and recognize that this is only temporary. And that's all great, but that doesn't mean that negative things aren't going to invade your headspace and that they aren't going to negatively impact the quality of your life. And so I think for me, one of the first things that you can do, not just take out propaganda, negative propaganda, and I'm talking about the news media, I'm talking about magazines, I'm talking about negative people that all they want to do is talk about doom and gloom. It's shutting off those podcasts that are constantly pointing out the drudgery of the world and the ugliness of the world. That's part of it, but you want to replace all that negative propaganda with, what could be referred to as positive propaganda. And what do I mean by positive propaganda? It's those things that, hey, you may be lying to yourself, but it's uplifting, it's good, it's healthy for you to be putting that stuff into your head. Maybe it's a positive podcast with somebody who's talking about personal empowerment. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's going to a group of people or surrounding yourself with some people who actually do see the world in a positive light and who choose to focus and to shine a light on all of the good things that are happening to them and their lives and everybody else. And I've always been real fond of this of this statement. I refuse to participate. So when last time recession rolled around, really real recession, I'm not talking about 2020, I'm talking about the last real recession we got in 2007, 2008, 2009 period. I can remember as we were going through that, I just started my first company and we were not suffering at all. In fact, our business was just booming. It couldn't be better in the recession. And I built a multi-million-dollar business during that period of time, during a really ugly place. And I also built it in the financial services space, which is another very difficult industry to both get into and to also to grow and scale. And I remember talking to people about this at that time and just saying, listen, if whatever you want to be successful at in life, if there's something that's happening that you don't want to be part of, just refuse to participate. And I used the recession as an example. I said, you don't like recession? Great. Don't participate in one. And a lot of people will give you blowback on that, and they'll question, well, how can I not participate? And it's like, well, if you've organized your life in a way that minimizes the risk that sort of thing does to you, that sort of recession has, then there is a way to not participate. But I think that a bigger part of it is just a mentality that says, listen, I don't care what the rest of the world is going to have to suffer through. I'm going to find a way to not have to deal with that. It's a very productive or proactive view of your life and what you're doing. And so I remember I was first exposed to this concept when I was very young. And at the time, Marty Schottenheimer was the coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I remember they're all sitting in this huddle. It's the defense that Marty's around. He's yelling, he's screaming at him over the crowd. He's screaming, he's looking him in the eye, and he's pointing a finger and he says, refuse to be blocked. He said, refuse to be blocked and they won't be able to stop you. And that was a completely new concept to me. I'm like, you can just refuse. Just put it in your mind that you will not be blocked, that you are going to get past that offensive line, that you're going to get to the receiver, that it doesn't matter, no one can hold you back unless you let them. And I recognize that there's a lot of nuance to that and that there's lots of objections to this concept of, well, you can't just will yourself money, you can't just will yourself success. And no, I agree with that. But it also means that I don't have to suffer if I don't want to. And just making that mental shift to refuse to be blocked, but putting positivity into your life instead of negativity, not just cutting out the negative, but taking time to specifically pump positive propaganda into your life. And then recognize that much of where we are in life is the result of our decisions, not the result of things that happen to us. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do throughout the course of that ultimately determines whether or not you're going to find yourself on top of the pile or underneath of it at the end of the day. Whether or not you're blocked or not and prevented from achieving the goals that you want in life has less to do with the obstacles that are in your way and much more to do with your outlook on those problems. And so I would just encourage you, as you are working through what will be a very difficult time for a lot of people, recognize that your mental state and your ability to stay focused has a massive, and ability to stay positive, not just focused, but positive, has a massive impact on how successful you're going to be and how much you actually feel the effects of this recession. And again, I'll just point you to our community. Our community are some of the most positive people that you are ever going to find, and they're all there. They're 100% there to be supportive and to help others. We recognize that during trying times, when things are going good, well, we could kind of manage on our own. It's when things are going bad and when we're really struggling with something that having people around you who really truly do understand you and understand exactly what you're going through and what's keeping you up at night and what the obstacles that you're facing, having people like that around you is critical. Not just because it's a support to you, but also because oftentimes they've been where you want to go. They already have solutions. They have answers that are more than willing to share if you just be willing to ask. And so do that as we head into these, what are probably going to be some pretty trying times. Just remember, feed yourself that positive propaganda. Surround yourself with people who view the world in a positive way. And then, last but not least, refuse to be blocked. Just accept that you are going to find a way to win and find a way to be successful no matter what. And oftentimes that's going to be enough to carry you through. Thanks so much, guys. I'll talk to you soon.